Government's locked in a crisis meeting as we speak, ahead of President Cyril Ramaphosa's address to the nation tonight at 8 p.m. The third wave of infections of the COVID-19 virus is skyrocketing, especially here in Gauteng. The Delta variant is primarily fueling that fire. Will we see harsher lockdown restrictions? We don't know yet. We'll find out later. But eNCA's Heidi Giokos has been following the story very closely. She joins me now. We know that yesterday there was talk about reconsidering the AstraZenca vaccine, given its efficacy against the Delta variant. Have you heard anything further about that, Heidi?
Yes, certainly, and I think this is important to speak about, given the fact that the President is currently in an emergency meeting and will be addressing the nation at 8 o'clock this evening. Yesterday we heard from the panel of experts and the Acting Health Minister, Mamaloko Ngubane, that the Delta variant is fueling the third wave in South Africa. It was the variant that was first identified in India, and we do know that one of the biggest issues here is whether or not our vaccines are actually going to work. How effective are our vaccines against the Delta variant? Previously, we saw setbacks in our vaccine rollout when AstraZeneca was actually not rolled out when it was supposed to, and those vaccines were sold off to the AU because government felt as though they were not as effective against the Beta variant that was driving the country's second wave. So the big issue here is, what is the plan? Will government reconsider AstraZeneca? We know it's already approved by the regulator for emergency use, but will government actually consider this given its efficacy? Experts have constantly said government miscalculated when it decided to sell off those AstraZeneca vaccines. But we know that this is a discussion that's being had and the option is on the table. Let's listen to some insights on the AstraZeneca vaccine.
We just need to recall that when we could not use AstraZeneca in the country, it was because of its very poor performance and efficacy on the Beta variant. And so I guess the question then that Dr. Nyati is asking is, if then we get to be actually shift the infections to actually the Delta variant, which we have seen that it actually, the AstraZeneca vaccine works well against it. Is that a possibility? My response would be, we actually would need to explore that and see if that might be something we want to consider. Firstly, we need to use the vaccines that we have currently, in the country. And then secondly, it would be a matter of looking to see how much, Delta variant do we then see in the country across, which would make us to go back and reconsider AstraZeneca. But for now, it is something that we're going to need to look at and try and collect the data and see if it is an alternative we could explore into the future.
Now, Professor Shabir Mahdi, the vaccinologist, has always been vocal on government's decision to sell the AstraZeneca virus. He's told every journalist in the country that it was a horrible mistake, but it seems only we're listening. Heidi, do you think government's going to listen now?
I would hope so, and the reason for this is because we know that the World Health Organization in January already indicated that countries that have decided to roll out AstraZeneca should continue to do so despite various variants in the particular country. For example, South Africa had the Beta variant that it was concerned about that was driving the second wave. But the issue here that we all need to remember and focus on is the fact that even though people have been vaccinated, there's a high possibility that you could, or there is a possibility rather, that you could contract COVID-19 again. But what government needs to focus on is making sure that it's not severe illness and there is no hospitalization or very low numbers of hospitalization. And this is how a COVID-19 vaccine can help. And this is what AstraZeneca is effective with in helping with regards to severe COVID-19 and hospitalization. Professor Mahdi from Wits University has time and time again indicated that it was a miscalculation on government's behalf, and government should have listened to the advice of the World Health Organization and looked at other evidence and data provided about the AstraZeneca vaccine, despite the Beta variant that was driving our second wave. But let's listen to Professor Mahdi on how this is coming back to haunt South Africa for not listening.
The World Health Organization had indicated that even in countries where the Beta variant was dominating, those countries should still continue using the AstraZeneca vaccine. South Africa's government and its advisors decided to go against the World Health Organization decision at that stage, and it has come back to haunt us. What does evidence currently show? It shows that AstraZeneca vaccine still very likely would be able to protect against severe disease due to the Beta variant. But in addition to that, what we now see is that AstraZeneca vaccine, in fact, is protection against hospitalization due to the Delta variant. In a recent analysis completed in the United Kingdom, shows vaccine effectiveness of 75% after the first dose and 92% after the second dose. For less severe disease, as you mentioned, around about 60% protection. But what we're wanting to do is it's all about saving lives rather than preventing these mild illnesses, which most vaccines would come short when it comes to the Beta variant and possibly the Delta variant as well.
And of course, most of our eggs are in the J&J basket, Heidi. How effective is that against the Delta variant?
So there's not much data at the moment with regards to Johnson & Johnson, but Professor Shabir Mahdi did indicate that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is effective, especially for severe COVID-19 and hospitalization. There are reports that suggest that one would possibly need a booster vaccine once Johnson & Johnson has been administered. But we do know that government indicated previously that they need to continue rolling out the current vaccines that we have. And many people are asking what government is going to do, what the president is going to say come 8 o'clock. And many people are saying that it should be a better and a broader vaccine rollout plan, because it seems as though one of the best solutions right now is to vaccinate as many people as possible, because this is going to help with regards to severe COVID-19 and possibly take off the pressure on hospitals. But we do know that evidence and data is still being collated with Johnson & Johnson. We know the co-lead investigator, Professor Linda Gale Becker, who led the Sisonke trial where J&J was rolled out for healthcare workers, has indicated that there's not much data as yet, but they are trying to figure out what J&J will do with the Delta variants.
Thank you for keeping us informed on that story and staying close to it. eNCA reporter Heidi Giokos.